Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another exciting installment of Chronicles of Darkness, Vampire the Requiem, Requiem for London. Tonight's scene is taking place in Crystal Palace Park, East Croydon. And whoever is doing this tap, tap, tap noise, could they please stop it? Thank you very much. Yes, tonight's scene is taking place in the venerable Crystal Palace Park. A place where multiple, if though slightly outdated models of prehistoric monsters can be found. In front one of these, a Megaloceros, also known as the Irish elk, we find this gentleman and his trusty hound in front of it. The man himself is throwing a tennis ball, and the rust-coloured hound is chasing after it with quite the abandon. But this man is more than he seems. Alas, like so many in this city, they are all more as they seem. He lights a cigarette, he sits down on the bench, and he watches his trusty dog, Rusty, chasing after the ball. And with that, I open the scene. Please, players, introduce yourselves.
Well, if no one else wants to go first, Nikolai, I guess, will go. Nikolai is going to, Nikolai in all his gangly, lanky glory, is going to step up, behind Mr. Marcus Ironseer. He is currently wearing a trench coat that's a bit too big for him. It seems to catch in the wind. A rumpled button-up shirt and just regular blue jeans. His hair is sort of combed over, sort of rough. He'll stop, quietly watch the dog run to get the ball, and start running back before eventually clearing his throat.
Evening, Nikolai.
Marcus, he gives us a low nod. I heard that from the grapevine some very disturbing news, and I came to find you.
Just a moment. Marcus has to wrestle the ball a little bit away of Rusty, and then just using a little bit of his preternatural strength, hurls the ball in the direction. The dog speeds off, merrily chasing. Sorry. So, what have you heard?
This little birdie told me that you had guessed over to our haven. Duh.
Yes, duh.
This is something we do not do. The point of a haven is a place of security, a place of rest. I would have suspected that you would learn the lesson from Mr. Goodman's foolish mistake of publicly advertising his location. He's obviously is upset.
Marcus just now properly realizing that probably wasn't the smartest tactical move. Looks a bit sheepish.
We'll say this. Do not do. I will let it slide this time, but do not do it again. I do not mean to be rude or harsh, but if given our location, if the or rest of the Ordo should find out that you had others in that location, and he just shakes his head slowly, things would not end well.
I'll keep to your advice in that. In stuff like that, you're more experienced than I am. Won't happen again. You have my word.
This is a good thing, I think.
Yes. I take it the night otherwise finds you well?
Duh. Well enough.
I had to branch out a little bit, but yeah, I was able to find some feeding areas that weren't as, how should I say, overused.
Well plucked.
Yeah. And Rusty comes back, and the same procedure happens again. The dog speeds off.
He'll just watch the dog, his hands remaining in his pocket.
So, I feel like this will be a great intro moment. So, as the dog runs off, there's a beat, and then you see Charlie holding the dog's ball in her hand, with the dog, I'm assuming, following closely behind.
Oh, yeah, you have absolutely captured Rusty's attention.
So she's there in her normal attire. She's got one hand in her pocket and then the other kind of holding ball, and she's kind of waving it aside and be like, now who do you belong to? And she'll look up and be like, oh, hi.
He belongs to me. Marcus will say nice and audibly.
Well, he's a sweet young thing.
And Marcus whistles, and Rusty, who before was halfway hypnotized by the ball, just looks at Marcus and speeds off straight to his side. Good boy. Good boy. And he scratches him behind the ear. Ah, Chloe. I mean, an unexpected pleasure. Didn't quite take Crystal Palace Park to be your kind of haunt.
It's
Charlie.
a park? As you see Charlie sees another dog. Or was that, did you say Charlie or Chloe? I'm so sorry.
Chloe.
He said Charlie. He said Chloe, but he meant Charlie.
No,
oh, sorry.
no,
Nope,
I meant
Chloe.
I meant Chloe.
Oh, okay.
My mistake.
So sorry. As I'm guessing, you'll probably see Roadkill chasing his own ball.
Hey, Roadkill.
As that'll probably answer your question as just like, we like parks.
Nah, that's fair. It's still a free country last time I checked.
And she'll walk up, and you can probably tell she is noticeably tired.
Ah, you okay? You seem to have some rings around your eyes.
All I have to say is feeding grounds.
Yeah,
Going off of my role, because it was just like she looks a little rough and she looks a little tired. It's just like feeding.
What would you say? Half full or half empty?
I want to stay optimistic, so I'm gonna say half full.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's a 2-finger salute to Charlie, seeing her.
She'll just kind of give like a very small wave.
Marcus will wave back and just say, I hope this isn't an ambush. And he says it with his eyebrows going up and down, clearly meaning that as a joke. Hey, Charlie.
Charlie just kind of sighs and is like, if I wanted to ambush you, I would find somebody else to do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then he rolls his eyes in a very specific way. I probably should have done that. But yeah, hey. So what brings you here this fine night?
Oh, just seeing a man about 2 dogs.
Just Nikolai is just going to keep his hands in the pocket and be watching and listening, not really saying anything.
Charlie will wave to him and be like, and good evening to you as well.
Nikolai will just nod and go, evening. You all seem to have stuff to discuss, so I was letting that get out of the way. Duh.
Ah, how very considerate of you, comrade.
Evening, Nikolai. She says, evening, Nikolai.
Evening.
Nikolai, Chloe,
Oh.
Chloe, Nikolai.
We've met
Not good.
briefly.
So, how are all of you finding this situation we find ourselves in?
As Chloe just kind of puts her hands in her leather jacket pockets, she's like, unfortunately, feeling the effects.
Well, decisions were made, and I think we all got to live with the consequences of them.
Oh, yeah.
She kind of will give, not necessarily a mean side eye, but she will look to the Carthian as she mentions that.
And she just kind of just scratches her head as she's like thinking to herself, shaking her head as she's scratching her head. Nope, I know. It's just been a while since I've seen Kindred stoop to this level.
Now might as well be a good time. Alexander, he's walking. He has a large map in his hands, like one of those tourist maps. And he's walking with it, but every now and then you see him poke his head up, and he appears to be looking at something that, bless you, none of you can see. Before he nods his head, and he keeps making marks on a map as he's walking.
Hope you don't walk into a ditch.
No, it was a stream, and it came upon me quite by accident, but thank you, Miss Charlie.
Oh my! I hope you weren't too badly inconvenienced.
No, I felt bad for the duck I landed on.
Oh, poor duck.
Oh well, they're serial rapists anyway, so I wouldn't feel too bad.
My apologies. Guten Tag, or good evening. A pleasure. I've met many of you. Delightful to see you again. My apologies. He takes his he places his map down on the ground before he takes down the bag that he's using, or he has a backpack on. He takes off the backpack, he unzips it, and he will put the map into the bag. May I offer anyone a thermos of tea?
Actually, come to think of it, my gullet is feeling a bit cold. Yes, please.
Did that also fall in the stream?
I beg your pardon?
I-
Yes, but it was sealed. I keep all of the equipment that will have my food and drink in it sealed in airtight containers. Of course, you understand.
Very recommendable.
And just gives a side eye towards Marcus as he willingly takes the tea from this perfect stranger.
May I offer anyone else tea?
I will politely decline.
Of
I'm
course.
good. I'm good, thank you.
I find it. I find that drinking tea from strange vampires tends to get you into more trouble than it's worth.
You see him raise his eyebrow as there is definitely a flare in that kind of like, oh, you have insulted my honor, sir.
Gives a small shrug.
Nikolai will notice that Marcus
And
breaths
cut
a
out.
bit, but he is not drinking it.
Right. Nikolai will go. I do not mean to infer anything or offend, but it is still a wiser thing to do.
I see. Well, by all means, Mr. Irons, please feel free to throw the offered tea into the grass if you'd like.
Oh no, its scent is way that. After all, since everyone not use my blush of life too much, so
My apologies. We are indeed strangers. He extends his hand towards Nikolai. A pleasure to make your acquaintance, Sir Alexander Hartwell.
Takes
a
his
member
hand.
of the Order Dracul. Marcus adds.
Nikolai will take his hand and go, William Golden Nikolai. Also a member of the Order. It was nice to meet you, comrade.
Ah, Bolshevism. How interesting. But, my apologies, I've interrupted your rather charming conversation. Oh, what a delightful dog. Oh, dogs, plural. What delightful animals.
As of course, Roadkill looks a little rougher than Rusty, but he's still wagging his tail, tongue hanging out, running for a ball.
Yeah, Rusty has come back now, seems to be a little tired, so he just drops the ball at Marcus's feet. Marcus rubs him on the head quite affectionately and cleans the ball and puts it in a pocket. So, purely coincidence that we're bumping into each other, or some higher purpose?
Oh, I'm following ephemeral activity. I don't know about you.
Understood.
Totally just kind of like makes a face and like it bit. What?
What part of my statement would you like me to explain, my dear?
The bit where and she'll kind of point to a map and then like go and creek stomping for, I guess, ghost?
No, not at all. No. Ghosts are interesting, but not my current field of study. Perhaps I should explain. I should point out that Alexander is one of those douchebags who wears sunglasses at night.
Marcus automatically wants to fist bump him now.
Am I to assume we're standing under a light source or a lantern?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There are 2 lanterns, and as this group of kindred is talking, behind a small moat of water, there is an artificial island with a nice concrete statue of an Irish elk, looking very majestically over the kindred.
He will sigh before he will take off his glasses, removing them off, and you will see both of his eyes are slate, like as in 100% pitch black, like Vanta black.
Charlie will just kind of like mutter to herself, "What is it with everyone and their mother here having weird fucking eyes?"
Oh, this is not an intimation of any kind of possession or otherworldly activity, not of its essence. This is merely the gift of my particular strain of blood, so I'm currently using it in order to chart the various different ley lines that crisscross the city. That's what I'm doing.
Ah, I see.
Chloe points at her eyes and just goes, genetics and nearly having your head ripped off.
That'll do it.
Like, she doesn't sound offended or anything. She just sounds very monotone and tired and just goes, mines are just genetic.
But yes, I've been looking into the ley lines since my arrival. They're quite interesting.
Why?
Because they're the source of power, my dear. One of the greatest sources of power. Those who know how they flow control great energies.
You know what? Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about beyond? And she'll just kind of gesture to the entirety of Alexander.
Hello.
This.
Well, who of you guys know the history of this park?
She leans over to Marcus, enlighten us.
Fair enough. For those of you who don't know, the Right Honourable Crystal Park Palace was called after the Crystal Palace. A big, as the name slightly suggests, a big structure, mostly constructed of glass, high-going metal. Think of it similar like a hothouse, but a giant one. And it was used for holding the industrial exhibition that had been funded by Queen Victoria and her prince consort, King Albert. The consort, Albert. One of the displays right in front of you here is actually a megaloceros, or a reconstruction of what some people call an Irish elk. A massive kind of deer that died out during the last ice age. The Crystal Palace itself sadly burned down a few years later, but the park remained, and it was also deemed that the park would remain open to the public to the very day. If you walk around this place, you'll also find Victorian displays of what they thought Megalosaurus and Iguanodon looked like, plus also some outdated figures of I think they're called mosasaurids. I could be wrong. And some fish-looking reptiles. Oh yeah, and I remember my teacher was banging on about one of the iguanodons before they were finished building them. The guy who was responsible for this whole park held a dinner party in its bowels, and then they finished it off.
Would you like yet another change of subject? He looks at Charlie kind of vaguely sarcastically.
Nikolai will just go, so, I was busy and I had to miss Elysium. I've heard rumors. I'm sure you all are dying to talk about, yes?
That is the worst way of fishing for information I've ever heard, and I've been around for a very long time.
It wasn't so much fishing for information. It's more trying to change the subject.
Charlie will sigh and say, the only thing that matters is that people made choices, and now we're living with them.
No.
It was a bloodbath. Verve made sure of that.
And
Oh, in what manner?
Finishes his cigarette, produces another one, offers it to the kindred around.
Chloe takes one.
Charlie's got her own. And she's just like... And she does actually look mildly irritated when talking about Elysium. She says, well, let's see. Where do we start here? I only showed up for the last little bit, but within that, my sire got himself blood hunted. So we're all going to deal with that. They also revealed some information about some other parties involved. Some video went around. You probably got sent it. Some other people making bullshit up for the Invictus. And then the Keeper gets real mad about it. And then at the end, Verve walks in, basically declares war with the Carthians, and everything just devolves into violence.
May I add a few key details that might have slipped your mind in the heat of the moment?
If you would be so kind.
For you, my dear, always. He smiles. Basically, before quite that went down, Joshua and his fellow bishops had stick their heads together and then came out and publicly said that the Lancaea et Sanctum will no longer recognize the authority of House Blacktomb, basically of the head of the princedom, basically excommunicating them. Then that happened, correct. There were big heated discussions in Elysium itself. The aforementioned video showed up and was shared around with kindred. Bishop Baneforth and I think it's Father Farthingdale now. Anyway, they did a big show about it and made sure that everyone got to hear that rather compromising video. Then further things happened, and what kicked it off before Verve showed up was the fact that the Keeper of Elysium snapped and threatened to have Joshua Baneforth staked and left out on the roof of that Elysium for the sun. After which then Madame Verve I've heard showed up. I personally had got my dear little arse out of harm's way because I could smell the blood from here. Anyway, got out, and apparently there was a big mosh pit of doom, or at least that's how what one of Chloe's Carthian compatriots put it. That's
Oh,
all.
which one? And she suddenly like perks up and it's just like, oh, which one?
I think his name. Yeah. Bowwater, the redhead.
Yeah, I see him saying that. Oh, good times. I'm sorry.
Well, we all knew that it was going to eventually come down to that. Especially if the video, I'm thinking, leaked out.
It is most likely the one you think of. I did send it to you as soon as I got my fingers on it.
Yes.
I thought you might appreciate to have the news relatively fresh.
Well, I thank you for that. Out of character, I'm laughing just because. Yeah. My character will go. Say. Whoa! I'm glad to see that you got out of there alive. Do we know if anyone we know didn't make it?
I know Mr. Goodman is still amongst the unliving, so that's good news. And I haven't heard of any of our closer acquaintances biting the dust. So, as far as I know, anyone we care about still seems to be either alive or pretty close to it.
Yes, I spoke with the head of my order this evening as it pertains to certain research and development plans the order has as a general whole that may or may not be linked to why it is I'm currently drawing ley lines on a map. But I have a question for you, Mr. Irons. Is Mr. Goodman just mentally deficient?
Could you give me a little bit more context so that I can answer you better?
We were both gobsmacked that a man whom is literally the most wanted face in London is sitting in a pub having pints down the local.
That was unexpected on my side, I won't lie.
Needless to say, he kind of says, you are meant to represent the mysteries.
Correct.
I should think you should keep him in line. From a political perspective, he's a liability.
I try to mitigate where I can. Needless to say, if we were forced in an altercation, he would most likely mop the floor with me.
I'm not insinuating that you need to. Good Lord, I'm not insinuating you need to do physical fisticuffs. What I'm saying is he needs to be controlled. He cannot be out in public. He will. All we need is another police incident. Considering the city is literally a tinderbox.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, what is surprising me is supposedly he has been, supposedly, at least that's the official thing I've heard. He's actually been bumped down to the status of fledgling. Not quite sure what his for the lack of a better word, stepsire is actually doing at the moment. Maybe we should have a word with her.
The problem is Goodman's face is way too recognizable. He is a big, beautiful man.
Frankly, it did sadden me a little bit when he didn't take the offer of getting a new face.
You got the offer as well.
Well,
Wait. He was offered a new face and didn't accept it.
yes, by Bishop Baneforth.
Why in the name of...
Nikolai will just shake his head.
Why wouldn't you accept...
I wish I knew this.
People want to atone for their sins in different ways. If this is part of that, then you can't fault them for it.
Speaking of your sire, do we know if he's all right? Turning to Charlie at that.
As far as I'm aware, he's still alive. Anything else, I think you'll understand, but I will decline to share.
Let me put it this way. If me and Marcus are able to convince Goodman to reconsider Baneforth's offer, is he in a position that he could still do so?
She'll shrug and say, "You're asking quite a bit of questions that Joshua can answer to somebody who isn't Joshua. Like, I genuinely don't know."
Shrugs and says, "Just thought I'd ask."
Like, should he die, I feel like it'll be broadcast to every kindred in this city. Given the fact that that hasn't happened, means he's still alive. If you want to do whatever face swapping stuff y'all want to do, like, you can try to contact him, but that's that's not my circus.
I should also point out that the mysteries have issued an edict that we are not to officially deal with the sanctified. So I would rather people keep up to date on the memos before they accidentally commit treason.
When did this memo come out?
He shrugs. I was informed of its existence earlier this evening.
No one tells me anything.
Well,
My apologies.
Apart from me.
You are a member of...
None. I'm no general member. None of the different orders have taken any interest in me.
Maybe that explains it.
Gives a small shrug. Perhaps.
In other news, what are y'all planning on doing about this whole, well, let's just call it the mutual feeding situation we all find ourselves in? She'll turn to Chloe and go, "Do the Carthians even have a plan to deal with this?"
I am still waiting my turn to check in with Verve.
This is the woman who literally caused mass amounts of death, chaos, and murder to ensue in an Elysium. Yes?
Yeah.
Correct.
Huh.
Look, her little group voted her in charge, and I will respect that authority. It doesn't mean I'm not gonna at least attempt to make sure there's the slightest amount of foresight going on in there.
That's what I'm trying to do. Because if anybody can possibly get through to Verve, I at least can hold my ground. If you get my meaning.
I sincerely hope that's the truth. Otherwise, all the prayers in this city aren't going to be enough for the hellfire that will rain down upon all of us.
Let me guess. You're talking about Van Helsing's?
I'm more so referring to the fact that somebody in charge of a large group of very violent people decided to cause a massacre, which has then in turn really escalated the situation, which is now affecting us all. More so than anything else.
Sorry, I had assumed that that was just part and parcel of Kindred Civil War.
Once again, the lack of foresight is the concerning thing here. You want to start a war? Fine. At least make sure you have the resources to finish it.
I guess a lot of people should probably consider themselves lucky that I'm not planning to escalate things, nor that I plan to start any conflict. He says that very nonchalantly as he finishes his second
A
cigarette.
subsection of the Sanctified have already invaded our domain. He will say as he withdraws a nail file.
Not surprising. There's a lack of foresight in a lot of places.
So far, however, she hasn't shown any aggressive behavior towards the local ordo. So, in the spirit of not escalating things, I didn't feel like haranguing her right there and then.
It's still at the top of my list to talk about your guys' safety. And she looks at Nikolai too.
Oh, my dear, I'm entirely safe.
Well, I know that. As she looks at, is Marcus carrying his sports bag?
Yes. He's got it in gripping distance.
I am aware of that. But again, I'm looking towards the two that I've known since I've gotten back into town, since they're still, well, again, Nikolai and I don't really see each other all that much, so reacquainted or whatnot. But Marcus, for sure.
Yeah. Marcus just looks at her and taps with his index the side of his nose, indicating like, I know what you're thinking.
She's like stumbling over her words as she's like trying to formulate sentences and just goes, I get ball. Just chucks the ball.
Oh, you mean if I've got my owl repellent with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
If it helps, once again, none of you here are Strix. Very nonchalantly.
Excellently.
Thank you for that.
She just puts her hands like on her face and just goes, ball.
Apparently the Ordo wish to have me screen people.
Nah, that's fine. That's fine. Just let me know if somebody's eyes are just a little bit too yellow for their own good, so that I can act. I mean, that's the reason your sire gave me that sword in the first place.
Constantine is lovely like that, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, an absolute bucket of charm. That
Just
part was
raised his
clearly said
eyebrow at
with,
that.
yeah.
Oh no, he's
that-
a cantankerous, focused old bastard who cares only about his own self-proclaimed crusade. I'm under no illusions.
Ah, good, good. I like it when people shoot straight with me.
But, Miss Brothers, as I said once before, fear of the name of a thing only increases fear of the thing itself.
You can blame my teachings, they were kind of beaten into me.
Once again, they are no more terrifying than any other predator if you know how to combat them. They die as easily as anything else.
I'm aware.
Good.
I've had first-hand experience.
Fire tends to work.
Yeah, indeed it does.
Marcus opens his sports bag, just double-checks something, and then just nods and smiles as he closes it again.
Charlie just kind of like knits her eyebrows together and goes, I'm actually a little concerned for the day you get stopped and searched with that thing on you.
If you want, I can have it mimic a piece of jewelry that can change its own shape.
That would be welcome. Actually, that would make transport so much easier.
Yeah, I'm be completely honest with you. Guy walking around with a giant sports bag and like a dog screams serial killer.
How very Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
What, little old me? I'm harmless. Well, mostly harmless.
And she'll like snap her finger and point at you and go, see, that is exactly what a serial killer would say. And the next thing you know, you're in their basement and you're getting turned into a lamp.
Getting turned into a lamp?
I feel like one of them
That's a
turned
new
people into lamps.
Jesus Christ, I used to be in the anti-terror unit. Seriously. Fuck.
I'm just saying, like, if I didn't know you and I was
Wait.
this far-
Aren't serial killers and stuff like that normally quite charismatic? I hate to admit it, but I know I'm not the most charismatic, and he lights the third cigarette.
What would you use for the light bulb? I mean, I get what the structure would be made of, and I can guess what the actual lampshade would be.
As lovely as it is how you guys are trying to figure out how I would behave like a cannibalistic monster, I'd even more appreciate it if you stopped that.
Charlie will kind of smile and then like look around really suspiciously and be like, we're on to him, y'all.
Chloe's got a shit-eating grin. And she's like just staying quiet, just like chuckling to herself.
Yes, I mean, I'm used to insults by kindred, but being seriously compared with Bundy, seriously,
I'm just
what
yanking your
next?
tray.
The unit bomber?
I'm just
Yes.
Yes.
We all know he just feared to his rats.
Oh, come on. If I want to get
boy.
rid of a body, I would use pigs. Sorry, but everyone knows that by now.
Damn.
You've really thought this through, now haven't you?
It is always perfectly okay to have a backup plan. Wait, what?
Proper preparation, ladies.
Looks at
Prevents
Charlie.
piss-poor performance.
Looks at Charlie, raises his eyebrow, and goes, "You haven't figured out how you're going to get rid of a body if you ever get one?"
She kind of like looks a little concerned. Is like, no, what is it? Okay. Do all of y'all have a plan to get rid of a body? Like, is that just a thing people have?
Miss Charlie, I tell you what, I'll happily pay you for any body you bring me, no questions asked.
I'm not bringing you any bodies. I don't
That's
want.
why I own a butcher shop.
Oh my god.
It
These are
just died.
probably the worst pies in London.
Oh god.
Ah,
You're lucky you're like the only people I talk to with any regularity, because otherwise I would just find some new friends.
Well, at least
Charlie,
the body.
to answer your question, in my case, it's more a plan Delta, because at least I've got a few options that my blood allows me, but I had to think about it at least once, yes, as unpleasant as it is.
Oh my gosh.
Haven't had to enact it yet, but I fear that's just part and parcel of being kindred. There are considerations we have to take that your average citizen just doesn't have to.
I feel like we're looking at this from different perspectives, and that you're looking at this from, all right, I'm a kindred. Obviously, I'm gonna have to hide some bodies in my time, so might as well, like, deal with that right now. Versus, I'm more like, all right, I'm a kindred. Why don't we just take extra precaution, make sure we're not having had any bodies anytime soon?
Why do you think it's my plan Delta? There is Alpha, Beta, and Gamma.
I mean,
That.
you say that, but just look at what originally got Mr. Goodman in trouble.
I still don't understand why kindred just don't automatically walk around with a balaclava in their pocket, but maybe that's just me.
Because the balaclava screams that you're doing something bad. A simple face mask and hoodie is not. It just screams that you might be sick.
Yeah. Well, as far as feeding goes, I will not divulge my sources, but let's just say that for kindred standards, I'm definitely getting more greens in my diet. Mind you, I have to go also hunt out a bit further out. I swear at one point I was probably in werewolf territory. Didn't stick around there for long. The deer were tasty, though.
I think you revealed your hunting techniques.
Yep.
Who says that I'm not just lying to you all?
Because you're a horrible liar.
That is true. That is true. He nods. Takes another drag. A slight smile. To be fair, at this point, especially where Marcus is sitting, I would say that his order mates can see a smile play over his lips just for the shortest period of time, and then he moves back into the light. But yes, I've tried my best to avoid the racks. The way things are going down there, jeepers. It's like being in a supermarket just before the Soviet Union was breaking together. A lot of shoving, a lot of very heated temperaments, and a lot of potential for violence. Chloe, may I ask you something?
What?
It pertains to roadkill.
Yeah.
Does he subsist on kindred vitae alone, or what goes in the maintenance of a familiar? I'm curious.
I thought we talked about this. I also feed him blood sausages from the butcher shop.
I wasn't sure if you were meaning that as a joke or not. That's why.
No. Blood sausages. He loves them. They're like his chewy at the end of the night.
Understood. So they're still able to, at the very least, chew around on solid foods. Interesting.
For the most part. Again, I'm still trying to get used to the whole idea.
However, as a familiar, do you have to feed him every night or only once a month?
I'm trying to remember right now the process.
Feel free,
Once a
out
month.
of character, to just say she gives the accurate information or
What'd you say?
inaccurate.
Once a month?
Once a month.
Once a month? Okay.
Just
I see. So in that way, they behave the same way as ghouls. Interesting.
I mean, out of character, I'm assuming you have the devotion that allows you to turn living creatures. And roadkill isn't just a dead dog reanimated.
She kind of inherited him from her backstory.
Yeah.
From a couple of kindred before, so
So
she's
he's
taken
probably
over.
an actual ghoul. And because
Yeah.
animalism too just reanimates into the dead. Okay.
As a matter of fact, at this moment in time, yep, because I'm a cunt. Alexander's eyes flick because he had a question. Hey, Charlie. Hey, Charlie. So just roll a little discipline power there called Spirit's Touch. I don't actually have to touch things. It's great. And it doesn't cost me anything. It's even better. The ring around, how she wears a ring on the chain around her neck?
She does.
Who did the ring belong to?
Originally her great-grandmother, and then it was her mother's, and now it is hers.
Does it have incredible emotional resonance to Charlie?
Yes. You've
Excellent.
already done this.
I haven't actually Spirits touched it, but now I have. Continue.
Such an asshole.
Love you.
Love you too. Doesn't change the fact that you're an asshole.
Anyway, thank you for the info, Chloe.
You're welcome.
Mind you, I hope I'll never have to do it to this adorable little fellow. And he, just pats the head of Rusty. But better safe than sorry, I guess.
As you know, Roadkill probably comes up and finally just lays down also.
Yeah, Rusty looks at him for a bit, and then just sort of leans against Roadkill. The two of them seem to be getting along surprisingly well.
Yes.
Probably because Marcus is so relaxed around you.
Uh-huh. It's that veterans thing.
Yeah. But yeah. I guess it's only fit and proper that the next time you see Verve, feel free to give her my warmest greetings.
I will.
We should probably schedule a meeting with, I suppose, our side on this conflict to make sure we're all on the same page as well, but we can leave that to another time. I have a couple of things I need to take care of first.
Fair enough.
What can I say? Babies to kiss, hands to shake.
Pockets to line, money to wash, the usual.
Yeah.
Parents to swindle. Banks to rob.
And you know what? He just takes the last drag. Here is to lying, cheating, and stealing. May you steal the heart of someone who's very dear to you. May you cheat death. And I used to know the other part of that, but my undead brain just doesn't want to work right now. So I'll let you fine folks figure the rest out. But take care.
Oh. She picks up the ball, looks at Roadkill. Time to head home.
It's fine. If you want to schedule a play date, you have my number.
Yes. We'll do another one.
No problem.
That's
Safe
probably
travels.
like a euphemism for something, but like, if you guys are hanging out, can I just come to pet your dogs? I really I'm not. Y'all, this like past month and a half has been absolutely awful, and I just really want to pet some dogs.
And Marcus just looks at Rusty, does a weird hand sign, and then Rusty just and then he points at at Charlie, and Rusty just gingerly, a little bit carefully, but not unfriendly, comes closer, sniffs at you, and then does the whole playing motion. You know, outstretching the front paws, lifting up the back, tail slightly wagging.
Oh, she's gonna pet the shit out of that dog.
Oh, Rusty's loving every moment of it.
Roadkill will probably go over curiously.
She just looks very happy.
Just be careful, do not pet him underneath the chin.
All right.
Yeah, there is a gammy bit there. You don't want to get your fingers there.
Y'all, she's not paying attention. She's petting your dogs. Congrats, Charlie's effectively not here anymore.
Oh, goodness.
Hmm. Never considered it. Rusty, the emotional support dog.
Ooh, that'd be good. He could probably go for that better than Roadkill would.
Well, yes, I think most people would be a little put off at, the little brain showing.
Yeah.
Alexander smiles before he'll click his heels very smartly, and he'll turn to Charlie and he'll say, "You and I shall have a conversation, I feel, another evening, my dear. Did I give you my card?"
Oh, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Oh, it's both of you. And she'll kind of look up and be like, huh? No, you didn't.
You know what? Fuck it. I just rolled Spirit's Touch again. He glances at your phone. I have your number now, and just walks away. There we go.
Take care. Marcus waves as the Mechit slowly but surely potters away into the night.
Chloe will look at Marcus, by the way. By the way, are you still planning on going and trying to find Constantine?
I've got the feeling he'll find me before I find him. But to
No, he
answer
won't.
your question, yes.
He just falls over his shoulder. No, he won't.
Right,
Oh.
so hopefully at some point we're hanging out when he finds you.
He turns on his heel. I think you misunderstand. He is not receiving people anymore, or at least for the foreseeable future.
Oh, did you kill him?
No.
Why would you go and kill our best group?
My sire is, I would be reticent to call him anyone's best hope, but however you choose to delude yourself is your business. He is currently, he contemplates his next words very carefully. He is currently deeply engaged and does not wish to be disturbed. Would you like a message brought to him?
She looks at Marcus.
He said he would need to talk with me. Feel free to tell him my ears are open and my mind is awake. So, he can feel to drop in basically any time he likes. Ideally, with a bit of a warning, because let's just say Chloe here might also be interested to trade words with him.
Why is it that you're looking for him, Miss Brothers?
Oh, we already talked about it. How, you said that he might want to talk to Verb about weapons.
No, I said I would like to talk to Verve about
Oh,
weapons.
yes. Sorry, my bad.
My sire has no real interest in mundane politics. He views them as beneath him. He has a higher calling, I suppose. But yes, I will quite happily accept an introduction to the rest of your movement as it pertains armaments. But he looks at Marcus and he sighs before he'll say, things are far much more complicated than we had first thought they were.
Welcome to my world, good sir. If I remember correctly, you did introduce yourself as Sir Hartwell,
He did.
correct?
Yep.
Ah, excellent. And if we could meet maybe next night and discuss that neat little trick, turning the sword into jewelry and vice versa.
Oh, that will be, well, I have only just awoken from torpor, as I've said. Several of my arts and my abilities are still extraneous. I will need more time for that particular little trick.
No problem. But feel free to get into contact when you have de-rusted your abilities. Let's put it that way.
Quite so.
Safe travels, and see you next time.
Good evening. At which point it's weird. You see him walk away, but that's not Alexander. He's just some dude. Your mind slips off him.
Did you have to make a slurping sound?
Okay. It's fine, dear. We'll only talk about the big slurp.
Oh my god.
Anyway, people, focus. Okay, and with that, Marcus sort of turns around and walks to Rusty, and also gives him some of the pats. He's a good boy, isn't he?
They're both very good boys, and Charlie will stand and brush all the dog fur, which is now covering her, off a little in vain, and just say, "Good night, I guess we'll have some conversations later.
And
Well,
Marcus leans in and whispers something to her. Out of character, I can absolutely say what he whispers. He basically goes, blah, 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 follow this road, this street, and you'll be out of order territory, in a few minutes.
She'll nod and just kind of walk away.
Safe travels.
Nothing's safe anymore.
A man may at least still wish on the odd thing.
And we're gonna continue our walk back to the butcher shop.
Yeah. Anyway,
Luck.
yeah. Hopefully, no idiot gets the idea to try and harangue you. I pity the fool.
It'll be the last mistake he ever makes.
Mm.
You've been dying to say that line, haven't you?
Then again, I love it when a plan comes together. And yes,
Ugh. And she has like a sweater underneath her leather jacket, and she just pulls the hood up over her head, rubbing her eyes. Either way, if I do come across anything I need help with, and she pats her jacket, I got help.
very good.
And she will walk off.
Marcus will remain just a little bit longer in front of the statue of the Irish elk, until the kindred have properly dropped out of sight.
Nikolai will start to get up to leave, but before he leaves, he'll go, "Oh, yes, one more thing. Before I forget, the man you asked me to look into
Yes.
is currently on leave from the force due to a recent trauma, if you know what I mean. However,
PTSD. Yeah.
yes. However, he believes all he saw was drug abuse.
Good. Then my dominate worked.
It worked well enough, but should
and he puts up his hand to stop Nikolai. If you've got any address for me, it'd be appreciated. Then I could go and tie up that loose end.
But I will just say, anyone who's in the know who comes across those documents will easily be able to suss out this information.
All the more reason to tie up that loose end.
Nods and gets up to leave. I'll see what I can do.
Thank you. Keep up the good work. And with that, Marcus will get up, put Rusty on the leash, and he will be leaving the area. Is there anything else that anyone would like to declare? I'll take that as a no. So with that, thank you players for playing. Thank you watchers for watching. This was another session for Vampire the Requiem, Requiem for London. See you next time.